Hello, thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Stuart, unrepentant atheist, and may I immediately apologize for the appalling picture quality. I assure you that I'm using a high quality external cam, but unfortunately, with photographic equipment, the general rule is the worse the lighting, the worse the picture quality. And I'm now sitting in a room with very poor quality lighting, so nevertheless, we're going to, or rather, I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to use the role pronoun. No, I'm going to do my best on this live stream, and I hope that you'll stay with me. I'm anticipating that it's going to be roughly about 1 hour. I'm going to review the show that went out last night on the line with Matt Dillahunty and Magical Skeptic, otherwise known as Dara, I think. I'm going to be reviewing 2 or 3 calls that went out on that show. And there was one that went out, I think, the previous week, which, because I didn't do a live stream last Monday, I'm going to be commenting on some of the calls that came in on that show. And in fact, I've already done 2 videos on that show, my first 2 videos of the new year. Yeah, it's 2025, a new year, and obviously we've already had quite a lot in the news. We've had this appalling incident with somebody driving a vehicle into a crowd in America. That was dreadful. We've had the LA fires, and there's a religious angle on that because I was, I was watching the line this morning, the one that was streamed last night, and somebody was commenting that in the Middle East, in Islamic countries such as Iran, that the LA fires are being hailed as a punishment from Allah on the infidel and for all the evil that America has done. So obviously this kind of thing it's just so common that when there is a tragedy, when people suffer in the world, you can always find a group of people who will try and press home some kind of ideological, religious, or political point on it. And obviously, a lot of people are suffering. So what? Many of them are rich. It doesn't make it any the worse. And I've got obviously a lot of sympathy with people from all income levels who have lost their homes, whether they be low income or high income. It's a dreadful thing to see one's home burned to the ground. What else can you say? You've got to have some compassion on a human level, regardless of how much money. Of course, those wealthy people who've lost their homes and become dispossessed by the flames will have more options available to them compared with those who perhaps have got absolutely zero in the bank account. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let me just move on. Yeah, what shall I say first? Okay, well, just announcing I'm, for those of you who don't know, I'm now offering memberships on my channel. This is something that not eBay, sorry. um, yeah, YouTube rolled out, I don't know, sometime within the last 6 months, and I started noticing that various channels are offering memberships. And at first I was resistant to it and thought, well, why would I offer memberships? What can I offer my subscribers and viewers that they're not currently getting? However, from the viewing experience that I've got on many of the channels that I watch, I've seen that this could be a good idea. And indeed, there's one channel I watch occasionally because I've got somebody in my family who has an alcohol problem, and there's an alcoholic who makes a video every single day. It's absolutely unbelievable. He makes a video every single day. He's got about 50,000 subscribers, and he talks about his alcohol problem, how he resolved it, and from his experience of being an alcoholic for 40 years, he's got tales galore. And I noticed he started offering memberships, and I thought, well, if an alcoholic can start offering memberships, then, well, why not me? Yeah, so for a relatively small sum, there are three different levels: bronze, silver, and gold. There's a link below in the description. If you're interested in that at all, then obviously one of the big benefits, and probably the primary benefit, is that if you go for either silver or gold levels, you will get from me 4 members only videos per month. Not the usual Matt Dillahunty, the line review videos. They will still be available to non-members, but there will be new material going out, hopefully every week. So yeah, okay, let me move on from promotion of my memberships. So I'm currently, as some of you may have noticed, I'm currently in a different room to what I normally use for these live streams. And I'm actually in a room that me and my brother slept in for 1 year when I was, let me see, 16, 17 years old, going all the way back to 1982. I shared this room that I'm in now with my brother at that time, two single beds next to each other. And it's just kind of freaky in a way that I'm sitting here now making this live stream in that very room. So I'll be here for, I think, another 2 weeks, and then I'm moving back to my flat. And you'll occasionally see me in this room now and again because my father's here. He lost his wife, and I come down to support him now and again. Okay, so one of the things that I found in this room was a very good collection of books, because my half brother also used this room, and he's got quite a good collection of books. He's an atheist, and I found this book here. There we are, A History of God, by Karen Armstrong. I think I've heard of it. I've not read it. I'm really looking forward to reading it. It's supposed to be a really good sort of history of all the different traditions, the origins of theism, etc. So I think it's going to be quite good. I'll just read a quote on the back of this book. It says, quote, "This is the most fascinating and learned survey of the biggest wild goose chase in history, the quest for God. Karen Armstrong is a genius." Now that quote is from A.N. Wilson, author of Jesus. Now I've got the book Jesus. It's an attempt to recreate the historical Jesus by A.N. Wilson, who was a Roman Catholic. Subsequently, um, it looks like he remained a theist, but he gave up on Christianity because after studying the historical Jesus, he just realized that there were certain things in Christianity that couldn't be true. So I don't think he became an atheist, but he certainly gave up on Christianity. And I know that him and Christopher Hitchens had lunch together sometime. I actually read about this, that Hitchens was obviously glad to have Wilson on board because uh, he's he's been a a sort of noteworthy scholar, well respected. And it looked like a coup for the atheist side when Wilson switched, or rather was going out for lunches with Christopher Hitchens. But Wilson gradually came back to the fold. Yeah, he actually went back to Christianity, would you believe? And I've watched a video where he gives his reasons, and he doesn't present any new evidence. All he says is that he found atheism unpalatable. He found it dry. He found it soulless, and he found that it offered no hope. Well, I would probably agree with some of that. And I don't think that atheism does offer any hope at all. But I don't really think that's the purpose of atheism. So, yeah, so that's Wilson's take on this. But this book must go back some way because Wilson obviously wrote that when he was probably at his most skeptical point in respect of theism. So there we are. I'm going to read that, and I'll probably let you know what my thoughts are subsequently when I eventually start getting into it. Okay, so just moving on. Let me just tell you what I've been watching recently. Okay, I've been watching at least while I've been working because, as I've mentioned before, I I'm actually an online seller. I sell physical products. I sell specialist products, and some of the work that I do is quite sort of repetitive, and I have to ship and pack products and send them off. When I'm doing this, I like to keep my brain working, and that's when I listen to The Line and Atheist content, etc. But I've been branching out because when you go to your YouTube homepage, they try you out with different topics depending on what you've watched, and they have a really good algorithm for guessing what your age is. If you haven't given them your age, they can soon guess just from the kind of content. I mean, look, I sometimes go back and look at, for example, I don't know, Pink Floyd in Pompeii, playing tracks from tracks from Medal, the great video they made in Pompeii. Now, only somebody my age is going to do that. Only somebody my age who was born in the 60s is going to go back and look at Pink Floyd in the 70s. So they have got a very good algorithm. They can they can soon guess what your age is and what your interests might well be. And for some reason, at some point, they guessed that I might be interested in true crime documentaries. I don't really see why that should be um, a topic of interest specifically to somebody my age, or that it's the case that true crime documentaries are so amazingly popular that they thought they would try it out on me. And sure enough, I started listening to true crime documentaries, and I eventually got around to the subject of school shootings with, for example, Columbine, Sandy Hook, and various other school shootings. And I developed some kind of strange, I don't know, interest or fascination in why young men in particular were going out and doing this. So so I've been watching those. It's been quite difficult to get through them, in fact, and I'm quite relieved that I'm nearly at the end of that. But I did actually come across one today that had a bit of a religious angle, so I thought I would just talk about that briefly. So in 2017, a young man by the name of Randy Stair, he he took a pump action shotgun, and he went into a supermarket, and I think he killed about three people before killing himself. Now he documented with a lot of video films his reasons for doing this, and um, I mean, he documented himself all the guns he'd bought and all the shells he had about 1,000 or more rounds of ammunition, and he documented himself shooting at things in the forest. It's just mind-boggling, frankly, that young people can get their hands on those kinds of weapons in the United States. My mind shouldn't really be boggled by that because of everything that I know about what's been happening in America for a long, long time with very high rates of um, gunshot deaths. So, yeah, okay. Now, what's the religious angle? Okay, so he's talking about, at one point he's saying that he got out. He wanted to get out of Christianity, and his reason for getting out of Christianity was that he said it's all fairy stories. He said, "Come on, man, you're telling me that there's a God who sent his son down to earth and to die on a cross to be the salvation for all our sins. Come on, man, that's bullshit. That's just a silly fairy story. I don't believe any of that." Okay, well, I kind of agree with him there. That's one thing that I've got in common with him. But then he started talking about, when he was talking about his reasons for why he was going to do this, um, he watches some program called Danny Phantom. It's a Nickelodeon cartoon, apparently. And he started saying that he believed that that if he did this and took his own life, he would become a a female ghost in the afterlife. He had this belief, that's bizarre, that on the one hand, he's saying that, "Well, come on, the resurrection is all fantasy and fairy tales," and on the other hand, he's watching this Nickelodeon, cartoon, and he's decided that it's real and that he really can become, um, a ghost in this, uh, in this afterlife world, which is depicted in the cartoon. So I thought that was kind of, amusing in a sort of grotesque way that he would go. Somebody actually commented in one of the comments that they would be really pissed off. I shouldn't laugh because obviously a dreadful thing happened because of it, but somebody commented that if they were shot dead in a supermarket because some lunatic thought he was going to become a ghost in the afterlife of a cheap 2-bit Nickelodeon cartoon, he would be really pissed off to die for that reason. Well, okay. Um, yeah. So anyway, yeah, there we are. But it shows that there are people who will very selectively say, "Well, that's fairy tale. People don't shouldn't believe that because that's obviously false." And then on the other hand, they can have wacky beliefs themselves. And as many of you know, because I've mentioned before, I've got a friend who's a full-blown conspiracy theorist. He's got wacky beliefs. He's got really crazy beliefs. And I can put something to him. I mean, I could say to him that, I don't know, I believe in Lord of the Rings and Gandalf is real, and I believe in the power of the rings. And he'll say, "Oh, come on, that's just, that's fiction, that's a fairy tale, I mean, that's obviously all made up stuff." And yet he'll sit and tell me that the earth is flat, that chemtrails are real, that the Great Reset is real, that 9/11 is an inside job, that human beings were engineered by aliens and placed on this planet, and that aliens, in fact, are behind everything that's going on at the moment in the world. I mean, he'll sit there and tell me all that, and yet he'll dismiss my claim that, you know, Gandalf is actually based on a real character, and Gandalf is still alive in the world, pulling all the strings. So I don't know. I mean, of course, I don't believe that. And with all his claims, if he says to me, "Do you believe? Do you believe, for example, that man has been to the moon? Do you believe in the 1969 moon mission?" My comment to him will be, "Well, I haven't got certainty that man did land on the moon, but the evidence does seem to point that way. But I can't be certain one way or the other. But historically, it's regarded as a fact." I would just say that. There's really nothing more to say about that. For a lot of claims that I hear, I usually stick with, "I don't know." Like, is there a God? I don't know. Are supernatural things real? I don't know. Is there objective morality? I don't know. Yeah, because if you go down the "I don't know" route, first of all, it's honest and it's kind of correct. Yeah. And you won't get theists saying to you, "Right, well, prove it." I don't need people to come to me and say, "Well, prove it," because it's your job. It's the people that are making the claims that have got to prove them. And the people who are making the claims, they're saying there's a God. A lot of them are saying there's a God. A lot of them are saying the supernatural is real. A lot of them are saying that there's a real afterlife where you go when you die, or that there's heaven and hell. Those are the claims that really have got to be supported with proper evidence if you're going to make them. I don't think it's too much of a big deal for me to say that, well, yeah, I can say with near certainty that man has been to the moon. And actually, I'm prepared to say that. I'm prepared to say with, I would almost say, absolute certainty that the earth is a globe and that it's not flat, because I mean, the the science there is just absolutely, and the evidence is just so overwhelmingly convincing. Not only that, but with flat earth, you won't find any real academics who are working in universities, and more importantly, being paid by universities to actually take a course. That's the thing. There is an academic going around claiming to have a PhD in geosciences who's claiming that the earth is flat. Okay. He resigned his post, I think 2 years ago when he took this position. The university wouldn't have him. He resigned. He's not being paid anything. But I would challenge any flat earther to show me an academic who's being paid by an actual real university, an academic who supports flat earth and who is actually getting money from a publicly funded research university. It just doesn't happen. There are climate deniers who are being paid money by universities. Those who are saying that our climate issues are not caused by CO2. There are climate deniers in the scientific world um, who are very well qualified. And I think there are about 10% who don't accept the consensus that it's man-made activity which is causing climate change. Yeah, you will find them. They're being paid money in research universities. But flat Earth is just so far out there and so way off the charts that there are no academics out there supporting flat Earth. I don't know how I got onto that. But yeah, I was talking about Randy Stair and his selective um, belief and disbelief, his selective disbelief in what he thinks are fairy tales, and his belief in his own fairy tales. I think the only reasonable thing to do is, if you encounter something which looks like a fairy tale, just to ask for the evidence for for it to be proven not to be a fairy tale. Okay, so let's just move on to something else concerning my channel. Concerning my channel. Okay, right. So I do get people sometimes visiting my old videos which I made a while ago, and I've got a lot of videos that only get maybe 1 or 2 views a week. Right, 1 or 2 views a week, because you put out a video, you get lots of traffic to it, and then YouTube kills it. You know, they don't show it anywhere. And then the only views I'm going to get is if somebody comes into my channel through a new video and then starts searching back through my archive. So sometimes I will suddenly see a comment on an old video. Somebody who's trying to get my attention, because there are people out there who will only want to communicate with the channel owner. They won't want to have conversations with um, other YouTubers who are not commenting. Yes, Drama King, I'm an atheist. The clue is in the title, in my title, The Unrepentant Atheist. Indeed, I am an atheist. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, just coming back to these videos, these older videos, that there are people around who only want to challenge channel owners. They think somehow that if they can show up some weakness in my position, they can go away laughing and say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. God's real after all. But, you know, that's not the way it works. Even if you can prove I don't know what I'm talking about, it doesn't bolster your case. If you're a theist, it doesn't improve your evidence to support your claim that a God is real. But typically, when I'm challenged on something, I mean, look, we all make mistakes, and I've made mistakes on my video. I've either misspoken or maybe I've just plain got something wrong. And for example, somebody called in saying that, as we've heard before, that um, that there's a genetic code, and if there's a code, there must be a coder. And then I've said, well, um, the point is that we don't know that there's a code. We don't know that genetics is intelligently designed. We don't know that. We don't know for certain that it's naturally occurring. I believe that in all likelihood, it probably is naturally occurring, mainly because there's no evidence that a God exists. And we haven't been able to rule out natural causation for the origins of life, genetics, etc. Now, if there's no evidence that any God exists, but there is evidence that nature exists and that natural causation exists, then I think in all probability, life is probably just purely naturally occurring. It's really mysterious how it all got going. Yes, I freely admit that. However, think about this. On my Facebook feed, I don't know, maybe you've seen on your Facebook feed too, but somebody's been somebody's been compiling statistics and figures about how big the universe is. And they've shown the galaxies, they've shown all the different galaxies there are, how many there are. So the mind-boggling figures. I mean, I don't know if they're true or not. Honestly, I don't know if they're true. But so yeah, so we've got the Milky Way, which I don't know if the claim's true, but there are a trillion stars in the Milky Way or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. That seems to me like more than I thought there would be. Okay, well, I mean, a billion is a lot, but I mean, a trillion is a hell of a lot, right? Now, the Milky Way is just one galaxy of many, and the claim that I've seen is that there are trillions of there are. It's hard to believe that there are trillions, or at least millions, of galaxies in the universe. Each galaxy with a trillion stars, and it's also mind-bogglingly big. There we go. I've used the term mind-boggling twice. Twice I've used that term in this stream, and I've only been talking for 26 minutes, so I apologize. But you must admit, mind-boggling is a really good kind of way of expressing befuddlement. What else can I say? So the point is that there are trillions upon trillions of stars in the universe. Okay, trillions. There must be there must be more systems like ours. In other words, a star with planets. In all those trillions, one would think that there probably is life. But the point is that life is in, let's say life is incredibly rare. We've seen these big figures that, life is so amazingly rare, and abiogenesis seems like such an, almost impossible event. But if not impossible, incredibly improbable to an nth degree. However, if there are trillions of stars in the universe, and there are trillions upon trillions of planets, then that kind of accommodates the odds, doesn't it? That it could happen. It could just happen that, yeah, um, a room full of typewriters and monkeys could produce the works of Shakespeare. And so, yeah, abiogenesis, incredibly improbable. The universe is big enough to accommodate that. And it may well be that we only have life uh, of this level, at least, on one planet in the entire universe. I accept that that is a possibility. And if life is so incredibly rare, especially to evolve to this level, it may well be that life has got going on other planets. And because of the conditions, that maybe there's life which has been around for, I don't know, let's say 5 billion years, more than on the Earth. But for various reasons, which I don't fully understand, they've never got beyond microbial level, and there's never going to be intelligent life in that system. But it happened on our planet, and because it happened on our planet, and people are right to say this is incredibly rare, we're incredibly special, and surely it could only have happened if a god had done it. If there'd been some supreme intelligence making it happen on this planet, you're entitled to believe that. I'll go with the big numbers, though. I'll go with the big numbers and say that it's remarkably improbable, unbelievably unbelievable that it could have happened, given that it's so improbable, but that because there are possibly millions of planets where life could potentially get going, and maybe it only got going really in impressive level on this one planet because everything lined up exactly correctly. But on all those other planets that we don't know about, if you were a little bacteria sitting in the slime, I don't know, 100 million light years away in the Andromeda galaxy, you'd be saying, oh, damn it, You know, isn't it a shame that isn't it a shame that we're stuck here in this slime? And those earthlings, they had exactly the right combination of factors, and life really got going. This is the problem. We don't know. We don't know what else is out there when all the millions of times that it didn't work, but it happened to work here. It's like dealing, I don't know, 10 million hands to yourself, 10 million hands of poker, and finally you get a royal flush. You think, "Oh, at last," but you don't think about all the times that it failed. Okay, I apologize. I'm starting to ramble a bit, but I'd like to think that it's all relevant. So let me just have a look at some of your comments. Just a moment, please. So, Drama King, if Jesus Christ is real and is our actual reality, would you become a Christian today? Well, yes, Drama King. Look, if you're a Christian, and I've said this to ministers of the cloth, pray for me. Pray that I might have a personal experience and that I too could become a Christian. I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know what Jesus is going to do to convince me. I'm in my bedroom here, right? I'm making this live stream from where I sleep. If Jesus could appear on this white duvet tonight, I will be I will be on here tomorrow making a live stream, converting. I'll be on my knees, crossing myself, converting to Christianity, saying how foolish I was, and urging others to convert as well. So, yeah, absolutely. If the reality of Jesus the Savior could be somehow proven to me beyond a reasonable doubt, yeah, absolutely, I would become a Christian. Of course, I would. Why wouldn't I? Because then I would know. And if there's an afterlife and there's a choice of either separation from God and eternal misery, or um, connection with the divine for all eternity and all the happiness and bliss that goes with that, of course, I know which one I would choose. But I'm not a speculator when it comes to religion. I don't speculate. I'm not into Pascal's wager. I don't really see any point in wasting my life speculating on which religion is true. They could all be wrong. And at the moment, I'm working on the assumption that until any is proven right, I might as well live my life as if they're all wrong. Thank you for staying with me on this live stream. If you're watching on what's the date? The 13th of January, 2025. The GMT, it's currently 23:33 according to my laptop clock. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so let's see. Um, okay, thank you very much. How do you pronounce that? Uh, Lipchich continuity. I'm not sure if I got that right. Thank you very much for your comment. Glad that you could join me. Drama King says, life comes from life. I've never witnessed life coming from non-life. Well, you see, the problem is you wouldn't necessarily witness that. I don't know how you could rule out that life could have come from non-life. It's as Richard Dawkins said when asked by Piers Morgan, um, how did all this happen? Where did life come from? And Dawkins freely admitted, he said, I don't know, and we don't know, but that the laws of chemistry and biochemistry are such that it must have happened. And yeah, the problem is we can't go back and look to see exactly how it happened, and that really is a problem. But we can try and reconstruct it, and the abiogenesis scientists are trying to do exactly that. Okay, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I mean, life comes from non-life. Well, you could say that. I mean, is God alive? Yeah. Well, then where did God come from? If you say life comes from non-life, well, God is alive, right? Because the alternative to God being alive is that God's not alive. That doesn't really make any sense. So then God's life too, God is life too. So God must have come from somewhere. It can't be turtles all the way down. Sooner or later, um, you're going to probably have to go with natural causation is the most likely cause of all this, because it doesn't require a complex uh, creator that's existed, has always existed, which I think seems to me fairly implausible, really. Okay. So, all right, Drama King, I'm not going to say any more about what you're commenting on. Others can comment because I've got other people leaving comments. So, checking in from Eastern Kentucky. I was born in the Bible Belt, but managed to escape fundamentalist Christianity. Okay, nice to hear. Nice to hear from you, Kentucky. I can't help thinking about Kentucky Fried Chicken every time I see the word Kentucky. I'm sorry, but yeah, I guess that in Kentucky you've got the best fried chicken down there. Probably not from Colonel Sanders, maybe from elsewhere. Okay, so yeah, Drama King. I mean, uncaused cause. Well, that's the doctrine, but I just don't happen to believe it. Something which has always existed. I mean, as complex as a god would be, somehow I just find that implausible. That there is a non-agent matter uh, nature has always existed seems to be more plausible than that a conscious agent has always existed. Um, okay, Platonic guts. What are you saying? Here's a question for Christians: how does God solve the issue of people who sin and refuse to accept Him? Okay, well that's for Christians, not for me. Okay, um, right. Wolf, you don't even. Okay, so I see that Drama King has come in, and there's a bit of a there's plenty of rebuttals. No need for me to rebut and comment. Okay, so let me just move on. Before I get on to talking about the calls, which I promise I will do very shortly. Oh yes, I was talking before about people who leave messages on my old videos. So yeah, I've made quite a few videos on near-death experiences. I've done a lot of research as well in near-death experiences. I find them interesting. And, if I pick up a book, there have been so many books written about near-death experiences, and a lot of them are compilations of anecdotes. Now, what will happen typically is that a scientist or maybe somebody who's got some kind of academic qualifications will decide to write a book on near-death experiences. So first of all, it's credible because it's somebody who's got letters after their name is writing this book. So immediately, anybody that picks up this book thinks, oh well, whatever's in it must be true. Well, not quite. Excuse me. So you can pick up a book and you can find a list of effectively anecdotes. Now, anecdotes in a book are okay, it's anecdotal evidence. It's the worst kind of evidence there is. All right. Now, if I was picking up a book and there were claims in there, for example, Mrs. X, Mrs. Smith, her heart stopped on the operating table. She had to be resuscitated. Her heart stopped for 3 minutes. And when she woke up, she was able to describe things that were going on in the operating theater that she couldn't possibly have known about. Okay, that's the claim. All right. There's a story about a shoe that was on a roof, which is the most famous one of all. That somebody recovered after being resuscitated and said that they'd floated out and that they'd seen a shoe sitting on a roof. And lo and behold, when somebody checked, the shoe was there. Okay, they even got the color of the shoe right, apparently. Now, the problem is that there are no names next to this story. The name of the nurse. A lot of the details come from a nurse who supposedly supplied this information. The problem is that nurse has never been traced. Yeah. So when I looked into this, the nurse who's the origin of this story or supposed origin of this story can't be traced. Neither can the patient. The tale is worth absolutely nothing. So, and this is the single most noteworthy story that NDE freaks hold up whenever they come onto my channel. All right, atheist, how do you explain that? This is what I get every time. Now, I haven't got time to spend, when I see this old chestnut coming back, I haven't got time to go back and say, well, I've read this, I've researched it, and uh, I just haven't got time to rebut these people. So On one of my near-death experience videos recently, somebody left, oh, about 10 different 10 comments, and each comment was about 200 words long. Do you know what I did? I didn't even read them. I deleted the whole lot and I hid the user from my channel because I don't want people coming onto old videos that are no longer being looked at, trying to get my attention and sending me a wall of text. I haven't got time for it. I know what they're going to say. Have you looked into this? Have you looked into that? And there are examples where it couldn't be explained unless the person really did float out of their body. I haven't got time to deal with these things. I used to say, well, can you refer me to an actual case with names, details, dates, and I'll go out and I'll investigate it. I want to confirm whether what you're saying is true because it might not be. And then they would give me one or two links and I would go out and I would look at it. I would find out it's a complete load of rubbish. There's absolutely no corroboration for this story whatsoever. And I would come back and say this, and then there'd be a back and forth that would go on forever. No, I haven't got time for that nonsense. If you want to believe in the afterlife because you're so scared to die after getting the great gift of life and being grateful for the life you've got, you want to live forever. It's not enough. It's not enough for you to have this life. You want to have an infinite number of lives. If you can't face up to your own mortality, that you're grasping at straws with these stupid near-death experiences, and you come onto my channel leaving a wall of text for me to deal with, no, I just delete the whole lot. And don't spam my channel. If you're out there watching, you know who you are. Don't spam my channel. And you've copied and pasted most of it anyway. If I think somebody's copying and pasting, I also delete and I hide the user from my channel. Okay. No drama king. I'm not talking to you. Okay. Let me see. No, I'm not talking to you because you wouldn't be appearing here. Because the person that did that, I hid them from the channel and you wouldn't. So the the person that left all those comments might be out there and they might be leaving comments now, but because I've hidden them from the channel, they'll only be able to see their own comments. Nobody else will. That's how it works on YouTube. Personally, I would like people to know they've been banned, but YouTube won't do that. They got this sneaky way where I can hide a user from my channel, and that person is, I'll get back at you, and they're leaving hundreds of comments, stupidly not even realizing they're hidden and nobody else can see their comments. I would like it to be that if I ban somebody from my channel, it says you will not be able to post anymore on this channel. You've been banned, and then a reason. And I think on Facebook, if you get banned from somebody commenting, or there are some forums where when you get banned, it tells you why. So I would like that to be the case on YouTube. YouTube won't do that because you know why? Money. Because they want people to keep coming back and watching videos and not clicking skip on the ads while they're tapping furiously away, leaving comments that nobody will ever read except themselves. Okay. So, yeah. So it's best thing to do if you want to get into conversations with people on my comments pages, do it on videos which I've only just recently released, because after 3 or 4 days, YouTube kills them dead and they don't get shown anywhere. Right. Well, I think finally I can start talking about some of these calls. Okay. So yeah, we had Brian. Okay, so yeah, Brian called the previous week and it didn't really go too well. He's a bit of he hasn't really got much reasonable to say. So he called in to say that, well, okay, he called in with a fair enough point. And I think that he said that humanist manifestos, I don't know, don't make any sense, or um, so he was criticizing humanist manifestos, and very quickly Matt asked him what he means. He couldn't really seem to say. He went off on a kind of rant and said, well, your morality it's all based on, happiness, but what is happiness? And Matt said, "Well, you mean what do you mean? What is happiness? Do you not know what happiness is? I feel very sorry, feel very sad for you." Now I realized straight away that, and I'm sure that Matt probably realized straight away as well, that what Brian meant was not what is happiness, but we've all got um, we've all got things which make us happy, which might not make other people happy. So what makes me happy maybe doesn't make you happy. More or less, there's a subjectivity to what makes one happy. It might make somebody happy to take a dog out for a walk. Now, I hate taking dogs out for walks. I absolutely try to avoid it. To me, it ruins a walk. So that doesn't make me happy. And I think that Brian's point probably was that we couldn't base humanist morality or any kind of morality on happiness because there's a subjective element to it. But as Matt said, well, that's true, but we all kind of agree what happiness is. It's a, it's a feeling. It's a good feeling, one that we want to encourage, one that we like to have, and that we want to maintain and sustain and increase. I'm not really sure if I expressed what happiness is very well there, but I think to say that happiness is a good feeling is probably not too far off the mark. Um, so, yeah, this sort of comes back to arguments which I've had with, I don't know, lots of theists about there being an objective morality, that we need an objective standard for morality because there will be disagreements, and it might be good for somebody to go out and kill, and this is why we need objective morality. We need to have an objective morality that killing is bad. Otherwise, there are people who would disagree. Because if I say my morality is that killing is I was going to say a sin. No, killing is immoral. Somebody will say, "Well, what do you base that on?" I'll say, "Well, that uh, I perceive it to be a bad thing to be killed and to lose one's life. I wouldn't want to lose my life, and I don't think it's a good. I think it probably is not a good thing for other people to lose their lives. It sort of decreases the good in the world if people are losing their lives. So that would be my standard." And they would say, "Well, yeah, but that's not really an objective standard. That's just something which you've subjectively formulated yourself." Say, "Well, fair enough. That's true." And they will say, "Well, there might be somebody who doesn't agree with that and he'll go out and kill everybody. So we need an objective standard to stop that person from going out and killing everybody." Okay, well, they might have a point there. However, um, there being a God who has an objective standard that killing is immoral won't stop people from disagreeing and going out and killing. It doesn't solve anything, as Matt has said, and others, Seth Andrews and others, and I've been saying that even if there wasn't a God, and Matt articulated it very well today, actually, or yesterday, that even if there was a God who had a moral standard that killing is wrong, there will be people out there who disagree and who will go out and kill anyway. So it doesn't really kind of solve anything. And as Matt was saying, this divine command theory thing, thou shalt not kill or thou shalt not do X or Y, means that a God can say anything that God wants and it makes it good. So God could say something that to us is bad, that, for example, um, torturing is a good thing. Torturing is moral. God could say that, and that would be an objective moral standard, right? Yeah, well, that's the problem. That's the whole problem. And if you look through the Bible, you'll see plenty of examples where God is prescribing what we would think by our own modern standards as immoral. So it doesn't really work. Even if there was a God, and even if there was some kind of way that a God could establish its own existence to say, look, this is my moral standard. And everybody agreed, yep, there's the objective moral standard. It might not be that all of those standards matched our standards. We might actually, as human beings, have a better standard than the objective standard. Because if you go through the Old Testament, you'll find that God's moral standard doesn't really match up. We've got slavery and other issues in the Bible, which, by our modern way of looking at things, looks immoral. So, yeah, Matt did touch on some other things. How do you know that God is there? How do you know what the God's moral standard is? Yeah, there are so many problems. There are so many problems, and I'm not saying that there being no objective moral standard is not a problem. It is a bit of a philosophical problem, but it's one that the human race seems to have managed to live with. And we've got legal codes, we've got a legal system, which is very, very carefully worked out and seems to be really effective. So people know without religion what right and wrong is, at least certainly in a legal sense and in a moral sense too. Okay, yeah, so that was Brian, and he didn't last very long. I'm not sure whether Matt banned him. Let me just check on some of your comments. Thank you very much for joining my live stream, and hope that you're all having a great 2025 so far. Of course, if you live in LA and you're running away from burning homes, of course, no, you won't be. But let's have a look. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm not going to comment on what's going on in comments because there seems to be quite a lively discussion going on there. So I'll just keep on talking about some of these calls. Yeah, well, Etienne called in. I think he was an atheist. Yeah, he was the one pointed out that Muslims around the world are rejoicing over the LA fires. Well, I don't know to what extent that is true. I can't imagine that by and large people in Syria and Iran in their homes are rejoicing that people's homes are burning down. I think maybe some of the fanatics that you see out on the street, the sort of, rent a Muslim mob type people that get out there on the streets when, I don't know, somebody dares to insult the Quran in the West. Yeah, maybe some of those are rejoicing that people's homes are burning down in LA. But so I think that Etienne's point was that people are making political capital and ideological capital out of others' misery. Well, I suppose there's nothing really that new about it, and the only thing I can say there is just it's always going to happen. And really, since the internet really got going, and it became a platform for people to hide behind anonymity, it brought a lot of hatred and a lot of toxic hostility against various groups out into the public domain, which is obviously unpleasant, but that's just human nature. That, I don't know, I was reading, I can't remember, I saw a headline. I shouldn't really be citing things like this, but I read that something like 1 in 10 of us are narcissists. And if 1 in 10 of us are narcissists, then, maybe 1 in 10 of us are sort of toxic people who take some kind of satisfaction in spreading hate. That's certainly possible. Fortunately, the vast bulk of people try and work towards doing good in the world. And or maybe there are more toxic people behind keyboards than one wants to think, but that they've got this platform now, which is the internet, and they've got ways of hiding their identity. They can say more or less whatever they want. And it's unpleasant. It's unpleasant because I've got one or two people who are close to me who've occasionally made toxic comments, and if I hear somebody who's close to me making a toxic comment, um, I will usually say, "Well, hold on a minute. Think about what you're saying there. You're generalizing. That sounds like a really hateful comment." Or if it's somebody that I don't really want to spend time convincing, then I might not just bother communicating with them again. Okay, so Michael called in about pantheism. Now, I must admit, something, I'd rather have a Muslim, I'd rather have a Christian, almost any religion other than pantheism. The idea that the universe is conscious and all that kind of stuff, it's sort of almost nauseating to listen to somebody defending pantheism. I mean, for a start, if a religion isn't useful, if belief in some kind of God doesn't give you some advantage, then I don't really see the point in it. Okay, you could say, which is absolutely true, and I agree with, well, the point of pantheism is not that it's useful, it's that it's true. Okay, fine. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I would almost have no problem accepting that, okay, let's call the universe God. If you want, maybe we'll even say the universe is conscious, because at the end of the day, whether the universe is God or not, and whether the universe is conscious or not, makes absolutely no difference to my life. And unless you could demonstrate the truth of these things, then I don't really see any more reason to credit them with any reality than I do any other religious claim. So yeah, so so Michael's calling in, telling Matt Dillahunty, yeah, the universe is conscious. Matt's asking, well, is my chair conscious? He says, well, no. Yeah, but my chair is part of the universe, isn't it? Well, no, because there are chains and there are links connecting up different parts of the universe, and there's an information flow, and this is what's meant by consciousness. And yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, you were saying something about galaxies communicating. Yeah, in the past, galaxies communicated after the Big Bang. Actually, this was quite funny because Matt said very quickly, no, that can't be true because galaxies galaxies did not form until later. We had the Big Bang. We had enormous temperatures when most of the elements were being made in the first, I don't know, 200,000 or 300,000 years after the Big Bang. Yeah, I mean, this is the bizarre thing, isn't it? People say, okay, the Big Bang is real, um, and yeah, the universe is 14 billion years old, and yeah, for the first 200,000 years, all the elements were forming in these amazingly high temperatures, 1 million degrees centigrade, and all the different types of matter, dark matter, and everything. Yeah, that all formed in the early stages, and we're supposed to believe that a God started all this, and this long, convoluted process, which took so amazingly long, is supposed to have been guided by a God. But yeah, okay. Oh yeah, this was the funny thing. At the end of the call, Michael said, because Matt said, well, there's no evidence really in anything that you're saying because we can't go back beyond the Planck time. And Matt said, yeah, and he said, well, one day we will know. We will be able to look back before the Planck time. And Matt said, okay, well, when that day comes, give me a call. And I think that's the best thing. Whenever somebody says, no, well, we don't know now, but we might know in the future, I'll say, okay, well, let me know when that is. Give me a call. That's the best way to end that conversation. Okay, Drama King. Uh, I'll answer your question. Um, I mean, as for feeling guilt and extreme guilt, um, I mean, how can primordial sludge evolve to a higher order feel guilt? Well, if you go and read one of Richard Dawkins' book on the theory of evolution, it describes how we came to be what we are today with all our human qualities, and why, example, it would be beneficial to in a survival sense to feel guilt. You can all these things can be explained. Even appreciation of beauty can be explained from an evolutionary point of view. But I'm sorry, unless you're going to go out there and read those books for these explanations, it's not my job here to give you a biology lesson. So yeah, I felt guilt, but I believe that it can all be explained by purely naturalistic evolution. Okay, so right, let me see who else called in. Oh dear, somebody called Keto called in. He called, yeah. Okay. So look, I appreciate, when somebody comes to me and they say to me, well, okay, there is a God. I believe in Jesus. I believe Jesus is the salvation. He was resurrected and the miracles and everything else, etc. I say, well, why do you believe in that? And they say to me, well, I just believe the Bible's true because I've read it and it strikes a chord with me. It resonates with me. And I just give it that I believe it was inspired by God. And for me, that's enough proof that there is a God and that all these things are true. I'm fine with that. I don't agree. But if somebody wants to give me that reason, that they just accept that whatever is in the Bible is true, and that is their evidence for their God, that's fine. I've got absolutely no problem with that. I've got problems when people come to me and say that, um, what? When people try to use the argument from causation, this is their reason for believing in Jesus. Yeah, I've got problems there because I think there are problems with that argument. Or if people say to me, look at the birds, look at the trees, or if people start talking about quantum mechanics and the double slit experiment and all those other things, and this is why God exists. Or, for example, why do we feel guilt? Why do we feel empathy? Why is there altruism? There must be a God. I've got problems with all of those. But if somebody comes to me and says, I read the Bible, I felt something in my heart, I felt something profound, and I just believe the Bible is the word of God. I've got no problems with that. I don't believe it myself, but the conversation is kind of over at that point. I mean, I would just then turn around and say, "Well, that's fine. I've got a Muslim friend. He says exactly the same. He's inspired by the Quran. He doesn't believe that Jesus is the Son of God. He's just a prophet. He's not divine. So I don't know whether you're right, whether he's right, or whether the Hindu's right. So at the moment, I'll just say I don't know. Uh, I'm just waiting for more evidence so that I can make up my mind. And really, that's the best way to do it. And fortunately, for the line, people are coming in with other evidences, not that the Bible is the inspired word of God. Because Keto came on and said that the Genesis account is true. It seems that he's a literalist. He believes that everything is literally true in the Bible. He made a really bizarre claim when he said we have to go where the evidence leads us. But then he went on and said that for him the evidence is the book of Genesis. You see? Now for a scientist, the book of Genesis is not evidence at all. The natural world is the evidence, not the book of Genesis. So, and then I think Matt got a bit angry with Keto for some reason. Yeah. I'm not too sure why, but Matt called Keto a lying fuck. Excuse the language. And then Keto said, "That's an ad hominem. You realize you just ad hominem me. That's a fallacy." um, well, it probably wasn't very nice of Matt to call him a lying fuck, I must admit. But I mean, yeah. All right. That call obviously didn't go anywhere. What else have we got? Oh yeah, there was somebody that called in with something quite bizarre. I made I made a video last week. Was it Brian or was it somebody else? I can't remember, but I've made a video on this one. You can go and look it up on YouTube. Um, so John 1:1, in the beginning was the word. Yeah, we all remember. It's probably the single most famous verse in the Bible, isn't it? In the beginning was the word. It's very poetic, very impressive. Do I believe in God? No. Okay, no matter how poetic something is, that's not evidence. There's lots of great poetry in Christian culture. There's great music in Christian culture too, but that doesn't prove that any of it's real. It just proves that people are really good at doing artistic things. So yeah. So the point of the caller was that when Matt said, "Well, okay, it says in the beginning was the word," you realize it's like a metaphor. It's not. It's not that there was literally a word. And he said, "Well, but you're speaking words now, so it's true. What it said in John 1:1, in the beginning was the word, and you're speaking words. The word exists. The word is Jesus, and therefore Christianity is true." So this is really kind of this is a sort of argument I've never heard before, but obviously it didn't gain any traction. But this this was another this was another theist who um, just took the Bible as complete authority. In other words, whatever is in there has got to be true. So, okay, let's see. What else have we got? Um, yeah, I think that's just about it. Oh, yeah. Okay. Somebody left a message on a video this today, one that I uploaded yesterday, saying, what is the added value of your channel? Yeah. Okay. Most of the videos I do are calls into the line. So I got my channel going really in terms of subscribers. I admit, excuse me, I got my channel going by doing these commentary videos on the line. I saw there was nobody else doing them, and I thought it would be sort of fun to do them. And I thought, well, why not? And by and large, they've been fairly successful, and a lot of people have enjoyed them. Some people haven't really seen the point in them. So I do get these questions. What value are you adding? You know, for somebody to ask that question, I think they're seriously lacking in intelligence or uh, perception. You can take a work, you can take a film, you can take a piece of music, you can take anything, and you can add value to it just by saying something about it, or standing in front of a picture. If I go and stand in front of the Mona Lisa and you take a picture of me, part of my head is covering it. Um, I'll have added something to it. It it will be different from what it was before. And even if I did my commentary videos and kept silent throughout the whole thing and just sat there and did not say a word, I would still be adding value to that video. Now, it might be value that a lot of people don't appreciate, but I'm changing it. And by changing it, I'm adding value to it. So by not only putting my face in the bottom right-hand corner or bottom left-hand corner of one of these videos, but adding commentary, um, laughing, grimacing, all the facial expressions and reacting to what's going on. If you don't think that I'm adding something to those videos, then I don't know what to say. I suppose you would also say that people who go out and review films are adding nothing of any value. You would say that people who do reaction videos on, I don't know, um, a Beatles song or something like that, they're also adding nothing to it. And I would disagree. I would think that if you take anything out there on YouTube and you put your face on it and you comment on it, and even if you say nothing at all, you're adding some kind of value for somebody. And I wouldn't have people coming and watching my videos and subscribing if I wasn't adding value to those calls. Now, I don't only I don't only do those videos. This is what a lot of people don't understand. I don't only do commentary on the line calls. I'm doing this, and I've been talking non-stop for 1 hour and 10 minutes, and yet I've got people coming on saying that I'm no good. I don't, I'm just leeching off the line. I've got none of my own content. I could talk any of you guys under the table, any of you guys that are leaving these stupid comments. I could talk you under the table all day long. I could talk about atheism 24 hours a day, 24/7 non-stop if it wasn't for the fact that I had to sleep. And I don't want to bore all of you asleep as well. So, for you jackasses that are coming on and saying, what value are you adding in your channel or on these videos? I don't know what to say. I mean, you're just lacking in perception completely. And you can't discern anything at all if you're making comments like that. You've just got no understanding about what I'm doing on this channel. So very few people make these comments, and I appreciate that a lot of you do actually enjoy my content. So I think that's about it, really. I would like to thank all of you for being with me. I'm just going to look at some of your comments just before I go. Let's have a look. Right. Okay, James Apperson says, I never get compliments at my channel over these few years, not even when I ask for any, no, not even from other non-believers who, okay. Yeah, I know. Well, actually, I mean, look, I get maybe one comment a week like this, or maybe one comment a video saying, oh, what's this all about? Why are you bothering? We can discern what is being said ourselves. We don't need you to comment, etc. Look, I know that not every YouTube viewer likes every YouTube video. I absolutely get that 100%. But I think that because I think that I take exception to the accusation that I'm feeding off the line uh, and other channels where I do commentary. In one sense, that's true because I use third-party material to make some of my videos because I think that I think it's good quality content. That's why I do it, and I like to make I like to try and make a variety of content. But I appreciate that I probably need to do a bit more of my own stuff, and I was doing quite a lot of reaction and commentary on conversion videos. I used to enjoy doing conversion videos where you would get a video with a title like, I don't know, why stop being an atheist? I'm now a Christian again. I enjoy commenting on those kind of videos. So I suppose the comment could be, well, what value are you adding to those? Well, I add quite a lot of commentary to those videos because I'm trying to break down what it was that sent somebody from being an atheist to being a Christian. Quite often, what I find with those videos, and I'm going off at a tangent here a bit, is that almost all the time, those people were never really atheists for good reasons. They were atheists because they were hurt, because God let them down, and other reasons like that. They were never really atheists because there was no really good evidence to support the claim that a God exists. There were other reasons why they were atheists. They were hanging out with the hip liberal crowd at college or university or whatever. And yeah, I mean, it's always reasons like that. That yeah, they didn't want to be laughed at because they were a Christian, because they they wanted to come across as being intelligent, so they decided to be an atheist. None of these are good reasons. And when I did those videos, I generally always found that this was the case. And now that I'm talking about it, I'm probably going to do some commentaries on conversion videos. Okay. So, but yeah, okay. Look, I mean, I mean, uh, occasionally, yeah, I get. I probably shouldn't get upset by comments that people leave, but I suppose I've got a bit of a thin skin, and sometimes it can be a bit insulting. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. James is saying one of my regular views is a moderator for the line. Calasia 789. My friend Eric is sometimes on that show. Oh yeah, Skeptics and Scoundrels, and the usual producer for Skeptic Haven. Okay, well, I'm familiar with Skeptics, and actually, he's been on my channel occasionally, even on my live streams, commenting. I think he's one of the best people at the moment who appear on the line. I've got a few favorites on the line. Um, there's Eric from Skeptics and Scoundrels. Matt. I mean, I still enjoy watching Matt, despite some of the issues with the way that he handles calls. I still enjoy watching him, and I suppose that he's a big draw on the line. Um, who else is there that I enjoy watching? Well, I don't know. A few of them. I don't enjoy everybody, and I've said that I don't enjoy it when Matt and Forrest are paired. And I've noticed now that Forrest is doing more on the atheist experience than the line. I haven't seen him on the line for a while. I don't know what's happened. I don't think that his calls with Matt were going too well. I think that he should be paired with somebody else. It tends to work better. Um, okay. I'm just looking at some of your comments before I sign off. All right. Okay. Well. Okay. Well, look. That's all for now. Thank you very much. Anyway, yep, I'm ending it now. 1 hour 17. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll be back next Monday with another one of these. And in the meantime, hopefully, I'll be able to upload a couple of more videos, and maybe a conversion video and some other material. I enjoy reviewing debates and podcasts like Alex O'Connor. I always like to listen to his podcasts, and I've been quite critical of him recently. And he's done some quite good ones. He's had some interesting people like Francis Collins on. I mean, of course, Francis Collins. I mean, for me, I just can't believe how monumentally stupid he is. He's such an intelligent person when it comes to the science, but in terms of his take on religion and why he believes in everything, I just don't think he's got any good reasons for his beliefs at all. Okay. 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 Good night to you all. I'm going. I'd like to stay, but it's late here. It's 20 past 12. I need to get some beauty sleep. Bye for now. Thanks for being with me.